you are still following a push-pull legs or a bro split, no wonder why you look like shit. If you would train a muscle just one time per week, you would amount 52 sessions for that muscle within a year. Now on a 2 times per week frequency, you would hit a given muscle 104 times per year. Now when training a muscle 3 times per week, you would have trained that muscle 156 fucking times in just 1 year. But it takes 10 fucking years to build an impressive natural physique. When you expand your scope and look over a 10-year muscle building journey, depending on the frequency you're training at, you would either hit your muscles 500 times, 1,000 times, or 1,500 fucking times. Who do you think has built more muscle just by looking at these numbers? Of course, the person who's training with higher frequency, who's giving his body more opportunities to grow within a year, within 10 fucking years, will grow significantly more muscle than the person who's just training muscle 1 time per week with a fucking bro split to get a chest pump and to feel great about himself when looking at the mirror. But without the pump, he looks like a skinny fucking person. So what is the actual science of high frequency training? I'm explaining this in almost every single fucking video, but I'll keep it short. So this first set for a given muscle group within a workout gives you the best possible stimulus. And you need to add 5 more additional sets in that workout to match the stimulus of the first set. You will essentially be doing 6 sets just to get the stimulus of 2 sets. As the stimulus of every subsequent set after the first set declines in effectiveness, and on top of that, every additional set after the first one gives you exponentially more muscle damage and fatigue, meaning that there's definitely a dose-response relationship that plateaus at roughly 4 sets within a workout. Anything above that is essentially junk volume. The good thing with high frequency splits is that you can get a massive fucking stimulus depending on the split you're choosing with just 1 to 4 sets in a given workout for a specific muscle group. So you're automatically staying in that effective set zone and not accumulating any junk volume, as you wouldn't even recover from more than that. All of that has probably already convinced you to switch to a high frequency split, but that wasn't even the biggest benefit of it. The biggest benefit is that high frequency training minimizes the time you spend on atrophy, which means muscle loss, as your body or your muscles are not constantly in a growth state if you're not taking steroids, as your muscles are atrophying after 48 hours after workout, meaning that if you're training a muscle just 1 time per week, all the stimulus you've created, even if you did 10 fucking sets for that given muscle, is essentially gone after a whole week of rest, meaning that you haven't built any fucking muscle. So your bro split workouts have been a fucking waste of time. Now compare that to a split, like a full body split where you're training a muscle 3 times per week. With just 1 set, you are hitting the muscle every time the atrophy period starts kicking in and essentially are cancelling out your body's mechanism of muscle atrophy, which results in you getting fucking jacked due to the stimulus piling up like crazy. Now that I've convinced you to train with high frequency, there are 3 splits you can follow: the full body split, the upper lower split, and the push-pull full body split. I will now go over the pros and cons of these 3 splits, comparing them to each other so you know which split is the best for you specifically. The full body split allows you to train a muscle 3 times per week, which is the highest frequency possible. It is the most time efficient split, as you can get maximum possible stimulus with just 3 sessions per week. It has the highest customization options out of any split. With the split you can really bring up and prioritize muscle groups more than any other split. I'll go in more detail about this topic on how to prioritize a specific muscle group in each of these splits at the end of the video. It may be the most fun split for you if you love training every single muscle group, as you now get to train it every single training day. The full body split will give you the biggest return of investment out of any split if you can stick to it. It does not matter whether you're a beginner or advanced trainee. Did you know that all the silver era bodybuilders only trained full body? It may be efficient in the sense that you are only going to the gym 3 times per week, but the sessions individually are long and hard as fuck. It may not be as fun for some people, as you will not get a crazy pump. You will mostly just perform 1 set per muscle group, as you cannot recover from more. You will be warming up more than actually training, as you have to jump from one exercise to another. And it is hard to program if you don't know what you're doing. But that is why you're watching the fucking video, so don't worry about this point. The full body split is best for you if you really want to maximize your muscle growth potential in any given area you want, having maximum customizability at your hands, while being able or wanting to train just 3 times per week. The upper lower split allows you to train with a 2 times per week frequency, being way more efficient and giving you more recovery than a push-pull leg split, which has you training 6 times per week, only reaching a 2 times per week frequency, while not allowing your body to actually recover from the 6 fucking sessions you're doing. It allows you to train 4 times per week instead of just 3 times per week, like on a full body split if you want that. And each session is much shorter than a full body training day. You may have a bit more fun during the sessions as you're doing a few more sets per exercise, less warming up, and you will actually get a pump. But who the fuck cares about that, right? Right? The upper lower split is good for the upper body, but it is fucking OP for the lower body. And it is easier to program than a full body split. But again, that doesn't fucking matter because I'm explaining it to you how to program these splits. So you don't have to worry about that. The only real con I can think about is that you have to train 4 times a week instead of 3 times a week if your schedule doesn't allow that. And you're training less frequently than a full body split. But a 2 times per week frequency is still enough. The upper lower split is best for you if you want to maximize your muscle growth potential, especially in the lower body, while only being able or wanting to train 4 times per week. The push-pull full body split has the same benefits as the upper lower split, as it allows you to train with the same frequency, but the additional benefit is that you can program it to give you the perfect bro experience, blasting your upper body and just tackling your leg training at the end of the session, which means that the push-pull full body split will give you maximum upper body focus. But that can be a con at the same time. I would only advise you to do the split if your legs are a strong point, or if you really don't give a fuck about skinny fucking legs. You could program the split to be more lower body focus just by putting your leg exercise at the start of the session, but from my own experience and from my girlfriend, this does not really work in practice, as you will be fucking cooked and your upper body work will suffer if you're doing your squat compounds, hip hinges at the start of the session and your upper body work after that. So if you really want to bring up your legs, again, just pick the upper lower split. The push-pull full body split is best for you if you want to maximize your muscle growth potential, especially in your upper body, while only being able or wanting to train 4 times per week. Before I go into the details of how to program these splits to give you the best possible results, you need to know that I offer high frequency training split bundles where you get 5 different training programs for every single muscle building goal you can fucking think of. All you would ever need to reach a specific muscle building goal for just 50 euros. And if you need even more help and guidance and be absolutely sure that you will reach your natural muscle building potential in the most efficient way possible, make sure to apply for my one-to-one online coaching service and become a part of my team. The links are in the description and comments down below. The most optimal split won't save you if you do not use the right volume guidelines. And no, I do not mean equating your program to some weekly volume guideline. Weekly volume is a useless fucking metric. Just 1 set done 2 times per week will give you a better stimulus than 8 sets performed just 1 time per week. So just blasting your body with more and more volume, especially on a full body split, will not give you a better stimulus or more of a stimulus. So you want to pick just enough volume to let your body recover to your next workout. And how do you know if you're recovering? If you see progressive overload occurring. If you don't see progressive overload occurring, you're not recovering to your next workout. And this is fucking important, as progressive overload is the #1 sign of muscle growth occurring. So if you're not recovering to your next workout, you are not building any muscle. Now let's come to the volume guidelines. For a full body split, where you're hitting muscle every 2 sleeps or every other day, you want to perform just 1 set per muscle per session. For the upper lower and push-pull full body split, where you're hitting muscle every 3 sleeps or every 3rd day, you want to perform 2 to 4 sets per muscle per session. The reason why I gave you a set range instead of just saying 1 set, 4 sets or whatever is because every single muscle in your body has a different recovery rate. For slower recovering muscle groups, you would preferably stick to the lower end of the set range and leave some more reps in reserve. For faster recovering muscle groups, you can try and go to the higher end, but make sure to still leave some reps in reserve. I'm trying to make this video as nuanced as possible and give you some breathing room so you can actually try things for yourself and not be brain-rotted by my content. But in my experience, what I've seen from my own progress and my training, every time I stick to the lower end and do less and less volume, I progress much better. So in the push-pull full body split or upper lower split, when I just did 2 sets for every muscle group instead of pushing up to 3 or 4 sets, I recovered better, I progressed better, and so on. And on the full body split, I wouldn't ever recommend doing 2 sets. I'll mostly stick to just 1 set per muscle group. But I'll go in a bit more detail in just a second when I go to the program templates. So for the rep ranges and reps in reserve, I would highly recommend you to stick to 4 to 8 reps and leave 2 to 0 reps in reserve to give you the best possible stimulus while minimizing muscle damage and fatigue, maximizing the stimulus to fatigue ratio to allow for the best possible recovery between workouts to maximize your progressive overload potential, as it is almost a requirement for high frequency training. Now let's come to a general program template with no specific muscle prioritization goal in mind, which you can just copy and use as a free program. Starting with the full body split. Chest press, shoulder press, frontal plane or sagittal plane pull, upper back row, lateral raise, triceps push down, a bicep curl, a hamstring curl on one day and a hip hinge on the other, a quad compound, a leg extension, the adductor machine, any type of ab crunch, and a calf raise. All of these exercises performed for just one set, preferably in the 4 to 8 rep range for 2 to 0 reps in reserve. I don't know what the fuck that was. Now let's come to the upper lower split. Upper body day. Chest press for 2 sets, a shoulder press for 1 to 2 sets, any lat exercise of choice, frontal plane or sagittal plane pull for 2 sets, a upper back row or a rear delt fly for 2 sets, a lateral raise for 1 to 2 sets, a triceps push down and a bicep curl, both for 2 sets. For the lower body, start off with a hamstring curl for 1 to 2 sets, a quad compound for 1 to 2 sets, a leg extension for 1 to 2 sets, a hip hinge of choice for 1 to 2 sets, the adductor machine for 1 to 2 sets, an ab crunch and a calf raise for 2 sets. Again, 4 to 8 reps, 2 to 0 reps in reserve. The push-pull full body split. Push. Chest press for 2 sets, shoulder press for 1 to 2 sets, lateral raise for 1 to 2 sets, a tricep push-down variation for 2 sets, a quad compound for 1 to 2 sets, a leg extension for 1 to 2 sets, and the adductor machine for 1 to 2 sets. Pull. Any lat exercise of choice, either a frontal plane or a sagittal plane pull for 2 sets, an upper back row or a rear delt fly for 2 sets, a bicep curl of choice for 2 sets, a hamstring curl for 1 to 2 sets, a hip hinge for 1 to 2 sets, an ab crunch and a calf raise for 2 sets. Again, performed in the 4 to 8 rep range for 0 to 2 reps in reserve. So again, this is a general recommendation on how to program the splits, so you can get a rough idea on how it works. But how do you modify the splits to suit your specific muscle building goals the best? So the start of a session is the most productive zone for giving a specific muscle group the best possible stimulus, as you are in a fresh state, which means that the main mechanism of hypertrophy, which means mechanical tension, is at its highest. Logically, that would mean that you want to put your priority muscle groups at the start of the session to give them the best possible stimulus. But don't just think about that one muscle group which you want to prioritize and just put that at the start of the session and just absolutely sausage the rest of the workout. Literally just list all of your muscle groups in the order of importance and base your programming off that. My full body program, for example, would therefore look something like this. And whether you're training with an upper lower or a push-pull full body split, just split the program into half. And you still have the order intact. To get even more granular for your top 3 or top 2 muscle groups which you want to prioritize, you should think more deeply about your exercise selection. For example, if you want to bring up your chest on an upper-lower split where you can recover from 2 sets for your chest, instead of doing 2 sets of a flat press on one day and 2 sets of an incline press on the other, you would get a better stimulus from 1 set of a flat press and 1 set of an incline fly on day 1. And on day 2, you could start with the incline chest press for 1 set and perform 1 set of a flat fly. You cannot completely isolate your upper pec via an incline press or incline fly. Your upper chest still works plenty on a flat press or a flat fly, but by getting just a bit more granular with your exercise selection, by splitting it up and being more perfectionistic with the angles and stuff you're hitting, especially even adding a fly, which more so isolates the chest compared to a chest press, you can get more growth out of that. That advice was somewhat niche and it isn't really that necessary, but what is really important is to think about muscle groups that suffer from antagonistic inhibition or active insufficiency. Some muscle groups have to be trained with almost the same motion in every single workout for you to actually benefit from high frequency training. For example, the triceps long head crosses the elbow and the shoulder joint, which means that when you're extending your elbow, like in a JM press, your long head gets deactivated due to shortening at the elbow joint while lengthening at the shoulder joint, which means that the relative length doesn't change, which means that the long head of the triceps doesn't do any work and the work goes over to the other heads of the triceps. When it comes to programming, that means that if you want to bring up your long head of the triceps, which 99% of you should focus on, it would not make any sense to perform a push-down variation on one day and a JM press type movement on the other, as the long head isn't activated there, so you wouldn't actually benefit from the high frequency training. for the long end of the triceps specifically. But you can easily fix this by just performing a push-down variation on both training days. Another example is the rectus femoris of the quads, which you can only hit via a leg extension or assisted squat motion, as it also suffers from antagonistic inhibition in the squat pattern, which means that you have to perform one set of a quad compound and one set of a leg extension, even on a full body split, to benefit from high frequency training. But luckily, your quads actually can recover from 2 sets even on a full body split, as they have the highest recovery rate out of any muscle groups. But do you know which I cannot recover from if you do not check out my programs and my online coaching in the links down below? I will go broke if you do not do that.